sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording.
Are you listening?
Hello there.
I'm Darius.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to the Oxfordshire Youth Podcast. This podcast is by young people, for young people, just to talk about the things that we care about.
We're here to give you a voice, whether that's the voice of your creativity, your professionalism, or just something that you're doing that you feel needs to be spoken about.
And if you want to get in touch and actually get on this podcast, you really can.
We don't bite. I mean, we promise.
And we promise. But the real question here is, are you listening?
I mean, are you listening?
Are you listening?
Are you listening?
Let's just get on into the podcast. Welcome back to the Black Lives Matter mini-series. There are some themes within this mini-series that may be upsetting to you. If it is triggering to you, themes of racism, bullying, and various other things, please we implore you to listen to another one of our podcasts that will be much more beneficial to you. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed the Black Lives Matter mini-series. Let's get into it right now. How do you all feel your relationship has changed with mainstream media in light of everything that's happened with the Black Lives Matter movement?
Obviously, I prefer to see the media with a better representation of different cultures in media.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've been thinking about, and I'm not sure what the correct way to think about this is all the time, is in lots of movies and plays, they were written a long time ago, and written for very white casts, and some shows are based in areas which would have a higher proportion of white people. So while I want to see more shows with a higher diversity, but for the shows that were, is it right that some shows can get I wouldn't say get away, can have more white people because they were written from in those times, or should we be working to retcon those plays by adding in more diversity, even though that wasn't what it was originally?
Okay. I'm gonna reply to that because I've had this conversation with someone recently. Now, most characters in plays, in scripts, most of them are not written with races in mind. A fair majority are just not. So even if they were written in that time, for example, Shakespeare, it doesn't just mean that the cast just has to be white because Shakespeare was white. And in the same way, for example, if I wrote a play right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the whole cast needs to be black. Yeah. I mean, it would be cool if they were, but it doesn't mean that. Yeah. And there are so many scripts that exist that are just without that. However, there are some that, do have that on. So they will specifically write it for a South Asian male, or a Chinese female, or a black non-binary person. They will write it with the intention of this is what we want to see. So in regard to the ones that are written without races in mind, I think it's completely acceptable to have, people of colour, of different backgrounds and everything playing those parts. I'm sorry, but I want to see a black Romeo and Juliet, just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that for time, but I have never seen it. I just haven't. And it's not because Shakespeare wrote it thinking, I'm writing this for white people. He was just writing it because these are the people who are around me right now. And it's the same with anything. So, Ben, if you were to write something right now, you would base it on your community and your surroundings. That's simply what we do as people. And I don't think it's necessarily wrong to still have all white cast because, it's fine. There are some of my favorite films are all white cast. I know some black people are going to be like, really? But no, like some of my favourite films are like all white cast. But then one of the best films of all time for me personally is Black Panther, a predominantly black cast. And to have those different films, like they have like similar, you know, meanings behind it and passions, and people have, you know, diverse backgrounds within them. They're not just two like one-dimensional characters where it's like, hi, I am a man, I am a woman, I do this, and like, no, they are diverse individuals. So in regard to your point, because I am probably more passionate about this than I should be, it doesn't really matter. Like if it's written with the intention of it being for a specific race, fine. If it is not, you know, anyone can play it. That's why personally I am extremely passionate when people say, oh no, having a black Little Mermaid has ruined my childhood. Tell me how having a black mythical creature, mermaids that do not exist, how is that ruining your childhood? Yet there have been so many films that have been whitewashed throughout history that are historical, based on historical events that happened in life, and no one says anything. Everyone's silent. They're like, oh yeah, that was a great film. That was a great film about Egypt where there was an all-white cast. Like, use your brain. That makes no sense.
Wait, Darius, if I could jump in. I think if it's, because with stuff like that, you have to be true to the times as well, especially if you do something set in like the 1800s, you know, it's going to be like set in America or England, it's going to be a predominantly white cast, and it could be considered incorrect to have someone of colour in there because they wouldn't be there in the time. And I think
there was, though. I think there were,
but you know, predominantly. But I think it's important to be very, very truthful, and like the same with like actors, like white actors using like the N-word and stuff in them kind of scenes. You need to have that truthfulness, but at the same time not make it so like white people are seen as good, you know. And you know, like what you were saying earlier with black people being like the side actors, to kind of, you know, or like black films having a white person as the side actor to make white people feel more included and less and less like guilty about what's happened is wrong. But you have to balance it out between like what is like realism for stuff like that and not. And obviously if the story is in any time, it could be set any time, there should be no disparities on race, because realistically a person's a person. You know, we all think, we all laugh, we all cry, so it doesn't really matter what race you are, essentially.
I think that like we've heard when you think period drama, you think white people in a period, because for so long these sort of like books like Middlemarch that have been like all like Sense and Sensibility and like Emma that have been televised are about white people because they're written by white people who lived in the 1800s. But you never get to see black people in dramas. Like, how cool would it be if? Sorry, I'm just gonna have. How cool would it be if we saw black lesbians in a period drama, because they did exist.
Yeah, exactly. I think we erase them. I think in a lot of historical films, it's not that they didn't exist. It's that they were like sort of Darius was saying, they were sidelined. These characters have always been portrayed in a secondary role. They're always in a subservient role. But actually,
their stories are never told.
We never learn about the period dramas where black people were thriving, because, I mean, even when they're set in the UK or the US, there were still black entrepreneurs starting their businesses, and there were still black people thriving, but we kind of always see the black sort of servant character, and that archetype of black people from the 1800s and earlier is just completely wrong, and it does sort of create this sense of superiority and that kind of feeling of, you know, white people were always thriving first and we were always, you know, the leaders of this or that, when actually there were so many people of color in the UK, in the US, who were thriving. And that's why, what's that series on Netflix with Octavia Spencer?
Oh my gosh, yes. Self-made. It's amazing.
It's literally, and like you actually, you know, for once there is just, it's focusing on her and her drive and her success and failure and then success again, and it's just like a sort of honest tale, and you know, Black Wall Street, we never learned about that. That was a thing, and it was completely destroyed by white people.
Yeah,
I've heard enough about white history. Yeah. We've had enough white period dramas. Yeah. We need more like period dramas that include people of color, Black people, people,
and different archetypes, different character references, and yeah.
Yeah, but exactly like Darius said with the old Egyptian films, you know, they should be predominantly Asian people, you know, like Middle Eastern people, or, you know, sorry, well, in Africa, African people, for Egyptian stuff. But, you know what I mean? It shouldn't, I just don't think there should be a problem about where it's cast. If if it's historically cast a certain way, I think it should be the people of that historic, you know, there should be the same people doing it.
Based on what Ricardo said about, what was that point he made? It was a good point about the films that, no, actually not Ricardo, sorry, what Ben said, what Benjamin said, about more coloured TV shows or more coloured, like if you actually really go into it, there are loads coming out. Yeah. I mean, on BBC 3, you've got Man Like Movie, which kind of represents...
Oh,
brilliant.
Love it.
My favourite comedian of all time, Jas, right? Brilliant guy from Birmingham. He tells the true story of what it's like being, you know, the minority in Birmingham at that current time, and the kind of banter that we have, and how we always have that one silly friend, and how the cops look at us, and you know, the trials and tribulations we go through. And then you've got like, you know, like what Darius said, the most, I think it was the biggest yet controversial movie that ever came out with an all Black cast. Black Panther, because there's a lot of critics about it. Why is it just all Black? Why is the white South African guy the bad guy? Why is he dead already? Do you know what I mean? It was like some things that went on. Why isn't there this? And then the biggest thing that happened about Idris Elba becoming the next James Bond now. My personal opinion on that is, I'm kind of cool with a white James Bond. I'm kind of cool with it, because it's like the problem. Like, I can see where some people are going to go with this and say, "Oh yeah, but why can't we have a Black James Bond?" It's like, to me, and some people are going to shoot me for this, but it doesn't matter. It's not a colour thing. It's a role. It's a thing. You know, it's like a James Bond was set for a white guy, right? Whereas the roles we've got, we can do better. We don't always have to like go for certain roles that have already been done. Like, there's so many great people out there. I mean, Jamie Foxx released a movie on Netflix just yesterday. I think it's called Power. It's about a drug that enhances you and turns you into this.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Definitely watch it.
Halfway through, don't spoil it. I was halfway through it. And then you got great TV shows with How to Get Away with Murder, with the leading Black lady, you know, in the show, in Suits with Jessica, who's top-end lawyer, and she's Black. And then you've got different Asian, like, there's so many like major roles coming out. The problem we've got about that is, and this is my personal opinion about the reason why we're not seeing more and more, is because people like us, we're not supporting one another and making new movies. Now, we've got a new generation coming out who want to be directors, who want to be the next Spielbergs, Michael Bays, the next Leonardo DiCaprio, the next, you know, I mean, The Rock's doing great. I mean, he's a prime example of the reason why there's so many more movies and more diverse movies out with colored people being lead actors. And, you know, this time it's, you know, Scary Movie made a point back then about why is it always a Black guy dying in a movie, you know, and it's true. And then when Barack Obama became president, you had, you know, I think it was Olympus Has Fallen or something like that with, I think it was Jamie Foxx as the Black guy.
Yeah, I think so.
You had someone else, president, sorry, and then you had someone else being president. But they do move with the times. And then when it moves on, they get the next. But like my point is, we're not doing enough to help the new generation coming in for an all, you know, if we want to see it. And I'm not saying I don't want to see it. I just want to see like-minded people making bomb movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's coming out. And there's some great movies out there. There's some great.
Yeah.
Like, Man Like Movies on its third season, and they're coming out. Community was one of our best TV shows. I love. You know, you had one of the best people on there. You had Childish Gambino coming in.
Big Nasty show as well.
Big Nasty having his own show. Mo Gilligan have his own show. So like it's not fair for us to sit here and like say, you know, like, oh, there needs to be more. That there is. It's just we just need to start supporting and showing it more and giving it a bit more love. And like I don't know if there's another 16-year-old who might be listening to this podcast and he's gonna be like, oh, how come Bear and H are doing a podcast? Like, how did they get there? And it's not like, oh, you're all seeing I got us and we're up there and we're doing our thing. You hustle for it, where people decide to say, you know what, I'm gonna show you some love. I'm gonna show you some love. I'm gonna like your podcast. I'm gonna share it. You know, I'm gonna, you know, you don't have to like everything that goes on, but like the reason why we're not seeing enough is because we're not showing enough. You know, it's a relationship. You got to give and take. And if you're not, then we are just going to get the standard normal, like, you know, like superheroes. I mean, look at Marvel. Marvel done a great job of one of the biggest things they done was they had an all-female supercast. You know, in that end scene of the, you know, the end game where you had the female Iron Man, the female, you know, Wasp. You had the female Panther. It was just incredible to see all that diversity in such a big, massive, controversial movie that they kind of created where a lot of people didn't like what they could see because, again, it comes back from generations where the elder generation have taught the new generation, white is white, black is black, Asian is Asian, don't mix bluebirds with blue. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, but we have to break that mold, and that's why I say like movies are doing their best. It's just our own people are not are going against it and not supporting it. I mean,
because they're sitting there and they're kind of feeling like victims. But like, if you want to see that change, you've got to like do it. You've got to get out there. You know, you can't sit there feeling sorry for yourself. You've got to be like, do you know what? No one in our industry is creating movies, so why don't we do that and hopefully ignite a candle or that entrepreneur or, you know, that fire inside to make other people want to create content like what Darius is doing right now. And the biggest he's the reason why we're out here and we're doing what we do. If he hadn't brought us on,
but like the biggest challenge we've got is like I can speak for this because this is just like what we've seen. Our own people, Pakistani background, they don't like what we're doing because this is not the norm.
Outside,
this isn't Bear and H being doctors, lawyers, pharmacists. You know, this is the normal stuff. This is, oh my God, what are you guys doing? Yeah, this is weird. You are weirdos. Do you know what I mean? And it's sad to say this, but if your own people are not supporting your own people, don't be hating when the next white person or black person comes in and supports.
And the thing is, it's not always like white people hating. It's the fact that
it starts at your own home.
It starts at home, and a lot of people, like, you know, in closed backgrounds, they stick together because they feel safe in the community. But if you're not able to adjust and adapt to other people of different cultures, whatever cultures, colors, you know, and different areas, then how are you supposed to grow? And I know from, like, personally speaking, from being Pakistani, a lot of Pakistanis won't go out there because, we don't want to hang around with these white people because they have this, like, hidden hatred. But you've got to break down that barrier and be like, do you know what? I want to change the perception they have of me so then we can progress as a whole. And literally, that's what me and Bear are doing right now.
I've always said it starts at home. It's always been
literally, man in the mirror. Michael Jackson said it.
Yeah, and the minute you leave your house is the minute you see the bigger world. When everything's behind closed doors, like, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know what you guys do behind closed doors or the conversations that are being had. You guys don't know what's going on behind our closed doors, but it all starts with what's being taught at home. See, if hatred is being taught at home, that is gonna be smart from a mile away. You're gonna see it very distinctly. It's gonna be there in your face. But if you're preaching, you know, peace and love and all that, then that's what comes outside. You know, it's what you do, not what they do. And I'm sick and tired of people saying, they're the problem. No, you're the problem because you're sat there saying they're the problem. But you are the problem because if your son or your daughter, your cousin, or your wife wants to go out and become like a singer, a dancer, a musician, an actor, or a philanthropist, or whatever they want to become, you're like, no, but that's not what our culture has. Look, bomb the culture for a second. Allow the culture. The culture isn't everything. You know, culture is something that, like, it's been made because of different cultures, and we can go all into that later on.
But it limits you. It
does. It kind of puts a stigma on you. Like, I mean, the first thing you think, Asian people, doctors, pharmacists, taxi drivers, you know, fast food restaurants, all that, right, and all that sort of stuff. You kind of think that's the level we're at, but we're not at that level. I mean, like, yes, I'm a gas engineer by trade, but that's not something I'm going to be doing when I'm 30, 40, busted up my knees on the ground fixing, you know, Dolores's boiler because, you know, she's got no heating and no hot water. I want to be in the studio talking to great like people like yourselves. I want to be touring the world. I want to see the world for what it is. None of that. It all starts at home.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. And I feel like, as you were saying, like, we all need to be the change that we want to see in this world, because if we're not, like, as you said, we can shout at everyone like as much as we want, but remember, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you, so you need to check yourself first before you're out here trying to check everyone else, because like we all, every single one of us, we all have biases and prejudices that we all need to check. Like, it's just ingrained within us because of where we've been brought up, our families, our friends, the culture around us. So we all have to check our privilege. So guys, we are going to wrap this up now. This has been like such an amazing conversation, and I think it's even more amazing that this is a collaboration with the 0 to 100 podcast. So it just makes me extremely happy. But my last question for you guys is this: what does Black Lives Matter mean to you? I'm going to start off with Ben.
Black Lives Matter is making sure that everyone of different backgrounds, especially Black people, have the ability to take part in society, and that also that they're not going to be oppressed, or no violence will be perpetrated against them.
Saskia, what about you? What does it mean to you?
There are so many other ways. There are so many ways to answer that, and I feel like that question deserves an entire podcast for you to make, Darius. But
so true.
I feel like uplifting black and brown voices mainly, and all other, and supporting like black businesses, so that there is economic progression that will then, yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate the thumbs up as well. I agree. Ricardo, what does it mean to you?
Well, for me, I think it's mostly about like educating. We can like protest and we can yell and everything as much as we want, but there's systematic errors in which we can't really like defeat right now.
Yeah.
And progression can be made to like get that better, but I think it's about educating the people now about what's wrong with the society, what's wrong with the system, so that when people become in a position of power, we can create a system, we can tear it down, start anew, or we can adapt it in which it will be more beneficial to everyone. I mean, it's and especially to like Black people, but it's not even just about that. I mean, you get the pride, like Mexicans, you get Asians, you get everyone, so it's about it's not all lives matter, because that's wrong. It's about creating that level of equality that everyone should see, no matter your background, your race. Nothing should hinder you from being able to do what you want to do and being able to achieve the same level as everyone else. Essentially, that's for me anyway.
I respect that, because yes, boy, yes, I wave in the hands. No one can see me, but wave in the hands, because yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Bear H, like, when you hear Black Lives Matter, what does it make you think of? Like, what does it mean to you?
It makes me think that to be more consciously aware and be more considerate of what is happening, and not holding back and thinking that your little word could not make a change. Because when you think about the butterfly effect, it's like you could see a small butterfly that flies into the window. Just giving you an example. Imagine if this butterfly flew into somebody's car. It could then, if someone had a phobia, they could swerve the car could hit something else. It could then cause so many different things as a ripple effect, a chain reaction. And so by you even saying one word, you've got to realize if a little butterfly that you deem insignificant, which you could just swat and take its life straight away, your one little word can make such a big effect. So like, don't hold back and don't think that one word is not going to change.
I mean, to me, Black Lives Matter is just as what it says. It's like Ronson. It says what it says on the tin. It's Black Lives Matter, as in it's got nothing to do with any other life. To be honest, it's literally about Black people and Black people alone. Simply because I think Black people had enough now, and it's like, yo, guys, yo, Black people's lives matter too, you know. And you know, for like people to say all lives matter and Hispanic people's lives matter, Muslim lives matter, that's nothing to do with it. It's taking the minute you add that in, you're taking away the importance of what Black Lives Matter means, and it's literally saying, yo, look, cut it now. We've had enough. Black people, we're Black, we're people, we're humans. Yeah. God created us too, and that's what it means. It just means like their lives matter too, because for so long, no one's given up flying frisbee about their lives, and we see it. We don't. I'm trying so hard not to swear right now. God damn it! You can Lord's name of vain. But yeah, it's just like it's Black. It is. It's like I don't know, man. I'm there. Gotta go Hulk on this. But yeah, it's literally, to me, it means enough's enough. Black people's lives matter. It's Black. Yeah. It's Black. It's safe.
Awesome, thank you.
I don't know. But I don't have to make it any more clearer.
Yeah.
Like Black people.
I mean, I think if you didn't understand that, like, we're gonna have to question it, because that was very clear. Jas, what does it mean to you?
I think it means, to me it means just making the world more equal and more inclusive, particularly for Black people. But I guess Black Lives Matter in many ways it's a movement that's going to pave the way for others, and it's going to improve the world for not only just Black people but other oppressed groups too. And it's, you know, through that uplifting voice, like Saskia was saying, of you know, we need to empower Black people. We need to, you know, make reparations to the past, look into the future, look at solutions, educate ourselves, do on a personal level, do better, so that we can make the lives of Black people better and more equal, and like level the playing field, really. Because right now all sorts of uneven, like I've got all these levels of privilege, and we've got to just squash them. We've got to make things more equal.
Yeah, definitely. And I think every single point that every single one of you made is extremely valid, because they're all right. And it's because it's what it means to you. And that's what I wanted to get across in this part of this podcast, that it means something different to everyone, but all of our opinions on it, I mean, provided you agree with Black Lives Matter, all right. Because it's extremely difficult for some people. They will see Black in it and they'll be like, oh, it's just for Black people. And yes, there is a good proportion of it that is for Black people. But Jasmine, as you just said, the knock-on effect of that is that affects so many other people groups. If we're thinking about, you know, the LGBTQ plus community, if we're thinking about the disabled community, all of which exist within Black people, and like if you think about all of those groups, this movement affects all of them. It also affects women, because we're starting to sit down and address like, whoa, like, how do we actually address Black women? How do we speak about them? How do we talk about them? How do we portray them on TV, especially on like dating shows where a Black girl will always be the last one because she's deemed unattractive, which again, whole other podcast. I could rant about that for days. But it's like, there's so much that will come from this, that saying Black Lives Matter means everything that you've just said. But for me, simply, it's just equality. Because until we get to that place where it's like, oh wait, so like my life is just as valuable as my white neighbor, or is just as valuable as, you know, like my Pakistani neighbor. Like, my life is valuable. And at the moment, since birth, since going through school, since going through, you know, everything I went through in school, it's very hard to live and be like, oh, my life matters. But then obviously, you know, you have parents and you've got people in your life who are like, you're great. And you're like, yeah, my life does matter. Look at me. So it's like, you have to have those people in your life that remind you, even when you're in those difficult points where so much is going on in the world, so much death and stress and disgusting hatred is going on in this world, they need to remind you that, yo, your life matters, your life is valid, your voice is valid, all of, you know, the things that you put out into the world, this world needs it, because without you, this world wouldn't be the same. And I think that's an extremely important thing that I think everyone needs to hear, whether you're black, white, trans, straight, gay, whatever. It does not matter. Your voice, your life is valid.
Sorry. All truth.
There's been, I really like this, like the movement, like the Black Lives Matter, like the outcry that has happened, like so far, and that it has like trans people and disabled people and women, as Darius said, they've been like, and black queer people have been like sort of the focal point. There's been more of a focus on that. Yeah. And in like the last few years, there have been like more shows like Pose, which everyone should watch because it is so good. That like focus on like different black experiences. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I do know, but
yeah.
I love it when the LGBT community comes into play. Yeah. I love it when y'all come into play and back like Islamophobia and back Black Lives Matter. No one tests you. It's like having a superpower. It's the most sick thing. Like when y'all come in, and it's like a scene in Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like when we we got your backup coming, and they're like, "Yo, who is it?" And it's like, "Oh, damn. Okay, cool. We're gonna listen to you guys now." I mean, it's so true. It is, and that's what our kind of groups need. It's like we need that cohesive backing and love and unity.
Yeah, need the communal support. All the, and I guess guys is that all the different movements kind of have the same goal. Like that we all want some form of equality. Like we can link together. If we like intersectional feminism, we need, as feminists, you know, we need to include everyone in the conversation. It's not, it shouldn't just be white women. It should be everyone. It should be black women, black men, you know, trans women. Just include everyone and start thinking about how all these things link together, because then we find the strengths and the points of similarity with all the different movements, and that ultimately just links people together and will always end up in more strength, really.
And it's just crazy just seeing when, like, especially when the Islamophobia thing kicked off and the racism against Pakistani Muslims and just that, and it was like when the LGBT came in to back us, and to be honest, it wasn't even our people that were like supporting Islamophobia. We kind of like said, "Oh, we're gonna step up this one." And when you saw the news, we had everyone throwing up the rainbow flags. And it's just crazy because, like I said, when y'all come in, it's game over. It's like that's it on the wall. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but like if we can all pitch in the same way, and have a union, have a unity in fact. I mean, we'll see better futures, but if we decide to just say it is what it is, then we're never going to get to the levels we need to be at. And that's why you listen to 0 to 100 podcast, because that's us. We go 0 to literally 100. We don't hold back, and we say what we want to say, and
yeah.
That's very true. Like they do. To be fair, if I'm gonna give like Bear and H their dues, they have been so good at not swearing. Like, but I like genuinely, there is so much like pride in my heart right now. I'm just like, yes, thank you.
We can do both. Like when we need to be, we can be formal. When we don't have to be informal, it's one of the best things that me and H have. Like we can, like if you see us out in public, when you see us out in, like when you saw us at Blenheim Palace, we switched. You didn't see the Ghetto Boys from Oxford and Aylesbury coming in. You saw like, yo, these guys, man. You know, yo, we say D, and then you'd be like, Darius, nice to meet you, bro.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like we all have our white voices. We love that.
Yeah. Oh, that right there is another podcast. Like putting on, you know, the acceptable white voice. You know, that the voice that everyone can accept, and then you go home and you speak to everyone or your friends.
I'm at him with a service report. They're like, oh great, trying to play expecting a white guy. They're like, God damn, you 7-foot giant. Who are you? I'm the guy on the phone. Like it's crazy.
I've walked into a place where I was working, or they wanted me for a job, and I was speaking to them on the phone, and they were like, "Oh, Darius Smith, oh yeah, lovely, yeah, it's gonna be great." And automatically they thought I was white, and I walked into the room, and I mean, if you are not watching, you're gonna miss my reaction. But they literally all was like, every single person in this office was like. they've never seen a black person before in their lives, like ever. And it was like, it's like, whoa, like hey, I'm black, like it's not that much of a big deal, like I'm just here.
Yeah, like when we applied for CVs for jobs, like for Bicester Village, not Bicester Village, I did it for Prada, right? And then next thing you know, I turn up and they're like, "Yo, your name, you're not Thomas Smith. Who are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I was just testing the waters." Like, yes, it's so true. So true.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate every single one of your voices on this episode, because again, as I've been saying continuously throughout this mini series, I'm going to continue to say it, these conversations will not stop. It's not just a little hashtag that's going to be here like, woo, Black Lives Matter right now, but tomorrow they're not going to matter. No. They matter. They will continue to matter, and they will always matter. And the last point I want to leave you guys with is this. Always move forward in love. Because when we do that, every single one of us, no matter your background, your belief system, or anything, we will all find this place of equality where it's like, oh, I may not know you, I may not understand your lifestyle, I may not, completely comprehend it or agree, but let's have this conversation. Let's, delve in a bit deeper, because I want to get to know you on a level where, I'm not just judging you on face value. And I think that is extremely important. So guys, thank you so much. As I've been saying, every person up in this place is amazing. Every person I've had on this podcast has been amazing, and they will continue to be amazing, because like there is no way we couldn't even be in the same area and not all be amazing. So like people, you stay rising, you stay, living and killing the game. Like, make sure you go and check out every single person who is in this group. Like, I will put links to everything that they're doing in the description, so you can go check them out. Obviously, go check out Collect Conversations. I will continue to plug it, because that's the place to be. If you're listening on the Oxfordshire Youth Podcast and you haven't already checked out the 0 to 100 podcast, you're slacking. You are slacking. So what like come on, like just do it. So after you've listened to this, stop it, find us, just go onto Spotify or Anchor, type them in, and just exactly listen to every single one. That's my homework for you. Everyone who's listening, that's my homework for you. Listen to every single one, and I would like a report on my desk on Monday, so I'll be testing you. Also, you have to, and when I say have to, I ain't playing games. Like, you have to go and check out Ricardo on Instagram. Like, I mean, firstly, amazing like modeling career, but also if you just want some amazing photography and just a beautiful human inside and out, he's the person you need to follow. Like, and I ain't just saying that because he's my brother. I mean, I am, but like, I would have said that anyway. So like, you have to do so. And also, like, Ben is an absolute G. We love Ben. We stand Ben. He is an extremely valued member of the Oxfordshire Youth Voice Committee. Like we stand. We will forever stand you. And thank you for all of the hard work that you do and continue to do, because you're killing the game, buddy. You're killing the game. And lastly, as always, I just want to remind every single person who's listening, if you are struggling with your mental health after seeing so much Black trauma that's out there, I know it can be extremely stressful. I have got links in the description below, so you can check out to get free services for your mental health, because no one should be suffering in silence. Like, if you need help, please find the help that you need. A lot of what's in the description is free. You can get free access to it, or if anything, it's like minimal payments, but please do get the help that you need. But yes, this is the end of this amazing podcast, and I kind of don't want it to end, but it's kind of gonna have to, because we all have lives, we've all got things we've got to do. Like, dinner is hot and I'm hungry, like I want the food, so I'ma love y'all and leave you. Thank you so much, guys. Ricardo, Baron, H, Jasmine, Ben, Saskia, I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's been amazing.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.